McGraw-Hill Professional presents Conversations That Win the Complex Sale, using power messaging to create more opportunities, differentiate your solutions, and close more deals. Written by Erik Peterson and Tim Reister. Narrated by Stephen Roy Grimsley. Introduction. Messaging fuels methodology. It's not just about where to show up and who you need to speak with. It's about what you say when you get there. In 1986, French racing driver Alain Prost tried to race the German Grand Prix without any fuel. Okay, that's not exactly true. Actually, Prost's car ran out of gas in the finishing straight of the last lap. After leading the race for most of the day, Prost wasn't going to let this stop him, so instead of retiring, Prost got out of his car and tried to push it to the finish line, to great applause from the crowd. However, the finish line was too far, and he couldn't reach it. He could only watch in dismay as cars that weren't as good as his on that day passed him and beat him. Salespeople and sales executives tell us that the same thing is happening with their sales methodologies. They invest in a process, but they never make it to the finish line. One big question we always get is, how is all this sales messaging different from a sales methodology? This seems to be the first reaction when you start talking about changing customer conversations. Salespeople, managers, and trainers assume that they learned all that when they were trained on one of the many sales methodologies. Our initial response is typically to ask a question. If you build the world's greatest race car, but you don't put gas in the tank, how fast will it go? Will you win any races? It's the same with sales processes and methodologies. You can put the right structure in place for making a great sales call, but without the right messages, tools, and coaching, process alone won't get you the victory. You can get behind the wheel and everything appears ready, but you still aren't going to win unless you put fuel in the tank. Great sales messaging is the gas that makes the race car go. Messaging fuels methodology. Put another way, sales methodology is about how to structure an opportunity or an account. It helps you create a framework for creating a deal and knowing whether you are making progress as you manage that deal through the pipeline. But at various points during the sales process, your lips have to move or your fingers have to hit the keyboard, and you have to execute a remarkable, memorable, and compelling customer conversation. These messaging moments of truth will mean the difference between winning and losing every time, because it's not just about knowing where to show up and whom to speak with. It's about what you say when you get there. Dial a methodology. When the economy is great, as it was in the late 1990s with the technology bubble, even mediocre salespeople can exceed their quota. More recently, several analyst firms have found that, on average, about 50% of company sales reps are achieving their quota. Ironically, as the economy has gotten tougher, these analysts also reported that 80% or more of the companies surveyed planned on raising their salespeople's quotas. So, when sales needs to hunker down and improve its performance, what do you typically hear from sales management? We need a better sales process. We need a better methodology. Then, your sales management team and your sales training experts spin the dial to pick one of the many options available in the marketplace, in hopes that it will help you rise above the economic pressures and rapid commoditization of your market. Unfortunately, many of these programs struggle to deliver the results hoped for. In fact, a few years back, McKinsey & Company documented that 75% of solution selling efforts at companies were deemed to be failures within 3 years. Having the right messages to fuel your methodology is more important than ever. 4 years ago, we performed a survey of marketing and sales executives for Tim's first book, Customer Message Management: Increasing Marketing's Impact on Selling. We found that 70% of the executives surveyed ranked commoditization or competitive differentiation as their number one threat to growth outside the economy. Why? There are more capable competitors than ever before. Customers are overwhelmed by the amount and complexity of information. As a result,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?